Going live in a mo. Good morning, evening, afternoon. Welcome to Collider Dailies. I'm John Aljets, and joining me is
Maggie Lovett.
one of these days that will not be awkward. We'll work it out so that I don't scramble to try to find a way to introduce you and then run out of time and just have to go, yeah, okay, Maggie's here. How you doing, Maggie?
I'm doing pretty good. It is Friday. It is the end of another week and the beginning of a very chaotic weekend, but
And the beginning of a very chaotic month. December is always nuts.
yeah.
It's gonna be absolutely crazy. But here's the thing. It is, in fact, December as of, like 10 hours ago. So what does that mean? Well, it means it's the end of No Shave November. You should still 100% be going to the American Cancer Society and donating if you can. I will drop a link here in chat to help fight prostate cancer and all other types of cancer, all of the nastiness. But because it is the end of November,
There he goes.
this is happening.
It is happening. And as I just
I've already got hair in my mouth.
You just need Sweeney Todd. You've already got a Mrs. Lovett. Sweeney Todd could be doing your shave for you.
So this is where we're going to sit for a little bit. As we talk about our topics today, we are going to be talking about Tom Holland's comments on whether or not he is returning as Spider-Man. Maggie, focus up, come on. We're going to be talking about Tom Holland.
General or like an old-timey senator.
Yes. We're going to be talking about Tom Holland's comments on returning to Spider-Man and what it will take for him to come back. We'll be talking about new Godzilla and Kong posters. But before that, let me just jump into our first headline for today. I've got a bunch of hair in my mouth. That's very unfortunate. We're going to be talking about the Furiosa trailer because of course we are. It was so good. So good. So yesterday at CCXP, we did get the trailer for Furiosa. I thought it was actually kind of funny because yesterday Perry and I talked about the images that we got from CCXP, and we were like, oh yeah, there's going to be a panel. We might get some more information, blah, blah, blah. And then literally a couple hours later, we got the whole trailer. So that's great timing, but it looks amazing. You've got Anya Taylor-Joy running around like an absolute badass. I gotta say, Anya Taylor-Joy is very quickly becoming like that actor who seems to be in everything, and I'm not mad about it. She is so good in everything, so I'm super hyped to see her take on this role. Chris Hemsworth looks a little not Chris Hemsworthy in the facial area. But for him, I am super excited because they're allowing him to play an Australian.
Yeah.
Which he doesn't get to do very often. So that's going to be pretty good. Maggie, what are your thoughts on the trailer? How hyped are you?
Yeah, I was really hype. I like that it seems like it's really bright. I was really surprised by how bright and colorful the trailer was, especially after a trend of a lot of movies that are kind of dark and grim because apparently they've I don't know, told their lighting guys not to do actually any lighting. So that was exciting to me. I know a lot of people it looks like it's really VFX heavy and it's not as good as Fury Road, but we're still really far out from the movie actually being in theaters, and so I wouldn't be surprised if it changes the way that it looks once it actually comes out. Because we're still probably very early into post-production on the VFX stuff. I thought it looked super cool, and I like the idea of Chris Hemsworth as a villain, and I also like that they've kind of changed the way he looks. So you can tell it's Chris Hemsworth, but at the same time you can also kind of be wait, was that Chris Hemsworth? And it just seems like a fun character for him to kind of get to sink his teeth into, and kind of play against type. So I'm excited for that.
I just really hope that he continues in the Mad Max tradition of being completely and totally unhinged.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the only time that they did a villain in the franchise who wasn't just absolutely like bat crap bonkers was probably Tina Turner in Beyond Thunderdome.
Yeah.
She had her head on her shoulders, and as much as I love Beyond Thunderdome, it's maybe not the most exciting of the series. I'm not going to put that all on Tina Turner's villain not being a psychopath, because she was certainly surrounded by psychopaths, but you know, still, I think that it was something. So yes, I am very much looking forward to this movie. I will say that watching the trailer, I do feel like this might be a weird thing to point out, but things felt like they were a little bit cleaner than Fury Road was. Like, it wasn't quite so grime covered, which maybe that is something where, again, we are in the early days of the VFX and things like that. So that is grime and dirt and weathering is kind of a last pass when it comes to VFX. So that might be something
I also wonder if they're doing something intentional there, since this is supposed to span like 15 years in the lead up to the next movie. So maybe there's like a decay as it goes, and that's like a visual cue that they're working on. I can see that being,
that would be an interesting thought. That also raises the question of where this actually fits in like the timeline of things. The Mad Max timeline has always been a little let's just say non-existent, in that it's hard to pin down exactly when things take place. If this takes place like multiple years before Fury Road, like 15 years before Fury Road, that asks the question of like, how old is Max in Fury Road? Because assumedly the first thing that happened was obviously Mad Max 1, because that's kind of like in the early days of the post-apocalypse. And honestly, what an apocalypse would probably actually be like. That's probably the most realistic apocalypse movie that I think I've seen in a very long time. But then after that, it's just kind of like, where do things go? Where does this go? I don't know. T&J Omaha says, this movie looks good, but I still feel bad for Charlize Theron, and it just doesn't look as good without as much practical effects used. That's a fair point. As far as Charlize Theron not being in it, it is, again, it's a younger version of her character, so it makes sense to go with a different actress. I do think that Anya Taylor-Joy is going to absolutely crush it. So I have faith that her not being played by Charlize Theron at the very least will not be a detriment to the movie in any way, shape, or form. As far as the use of practical effects, it's George Miller. It's going to use a bunch of practical effects. We might just not have necessarily seen it as much in the trailer. Honestly, nothing about the trailer screamed like over CGI'd to me. So like, I don't agree with a lot of the, issues with that. That people are raising, but that's just me. Maybe I'm not as sensitive to CGI.
And honestly, we know that they film stuff on location, so we know that it's not like they filmed in the volume somewhere or it's like completely blue screen, green screen. They did film on location. They did use practical effects. We know all of this about the production, so this is probably just still very early on, since this was like a teaser trailer for a convention.
Yeah, it's true. The movie does come out next year. I believe it's May. I want to say yes, May. Yeah. So we have a little bit of time. We're going to get more information. We're going to get more, images from it, I am sure. So we will keep you up to date with all of the information about Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Just, jump over to collider.com or, of course, watch the show. We'll talk about it as it comes. So now that we finished one topic, it's time to do some more. Maggie, you're gonna have to deal with this. You knew what you signed up for today.
I did.
This was on the docket. I don't know what I'm doing facial hair-wise for this topic, but I'm doing something. This looks awful. Does anybody else think this looks terrible? Because this looks like just an absolute mess. Maybe I'll just go with the mutton chops.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, you can see my double chin. I hope everyone is shaving along with John. Yes. I hope that you are as well. I look like I'm about to go fishing in New England.
Yeah.
There's Cage go in the water, sharks in the water.
You're a lobster fisherman now.
But anyways, let's move on to our second topic
Yes,
for today.
please, let's move on.
Which is Tom Holland made some comments about Spider-Man and about what it will take for him to return to Spider-Man. He was at a recent press conference with the Critics' Choice Association, and he had a few things to say about it. This is what he said, quote, "All I can say is that we have been actively engaging in conversations about what it could potentially look like for a fourth rendition of my character. Whether or not we can find a way to do justice to the character is another thing. I feel very protective over Spider-Man. I feel very, very lucky that we were able to work on a franchise that got better with each movie, that got more successful with each movie, which I think is really rare, and I want to protect his legacy. So I won't make another one for the sake of making another one. It will have to be worth the while of the character." So, Tom Holland is saying that he is to the haba. Sorry, I got distracted by chat there for a second. So yeah, Tom Holland is saying that he will return as Spider-Man. He is very much in the affirmative that he will do that, but he wants to make sure that it is a story that he feels is worth telling. So, I honestly think that is the best attitude to have about it right now.
I agree.
It would be very, very easy for, especially within the MCU, for them to just put a bunch. Now your stash is uneven. I know it is. It would be very, very easy for them to just put a bunch of like Spider-Man into everything because he is the most popular character. And this is bugging me. I am going to do this real quick. It is very. Now it's uneven in another way.
No,
Hold on.
I was like, there you go.
There we go. Anyways, it would be very, very easy for them to just shove Spider-Man in everywhere, but we haven't seen him since No Way Home. So, how do you feel about this, Maggie? I feel like you're struggling today.
I'm just really struggling today. The whole shame.
I'm sorry that you have to look at this.
The whole process is very entertaining. But on the topic of Spider-Man, I mean, I'm never going to say no to more Spider-Man. I do love Spider-Man. I've seen all the Spider-Man movies in theaters and like the animated stuff. I love Spider-Man as a character. I am not against Tom not playing Spider-Man again. Like, I think that he is definitely going about it the right way of like not wanting to just shoehorn Spider-Man into things and rather finding a story that actually works for the character and benefits what they're doing. But with where Marvel is right now, I think that they should focus on the characters that have more longevity with them, like the newer characters that they're introducing and whatever they're trying to do with like the younger cast. Because Tom still very much falls into that, but he would be shifting into a Spider-Man that's more like the college-age Spider-Man that's doing all of this stuff. And there's a lot of stuff to that character that might like take away from the things that they're trying to do with like Kamala and all the other characters, the younger group that they're playing with right now. And I think they should invest their focus on that because they have a lot more like a time with them. And like I would love to see Miles come into the story as like an actual character in live action. And a lot of that storyline would be really cool in live action. So that's where I'm hoping that they go with Spider-Man as a character. But like I do like his Peter Parker. I think he's great. So, I mean, I'm okay if he comes back, but I also just would like to see them focus on like who they have right now, especially since I think Tom should also be focusing on his non-Marvel projects and doing ones that are actually good because he's had a run of like quick projects that he does in between Spider-Man projects that then don't do really well. And I think he's a really talented actor that just picks whatever script works with his Marvel schedule. And that's usually to like the detriment of his actual career outside of Marvel.
If you want to talk crap about Uncharted, just talk crap about Uncharted.
I actually liked Uncharted. I'm thinking more of like Cherry and like The Crowded Room was fine, but it was definitely not like the best version of that story. So no, I actually like Uncharted. Controversially, I had a great time with it because it very much fit into my niche of like mid-aughts vibe adventure movies, and it kind of appealed to that. So I enjoyed it for what it was.
I get
as
that.
Somebody who actually did play the games a little bit. But yeah.
I had only played the first game, so I felt like my lack of game knowledge almost helped me in enjoying the movie because I enjoyed it as a movie, but it wasn't good. It was like one of
Yeah.
those things where I was like, I had fun, but this wasn't good.
Yeah. And I think that was what I was looking for with Uncharted. I wanted like a stupid adventure movie with like some fun plots and some
Yeah.
cool locations and like insane action, and it like kind of appealed in all of those forms. I think like, not to derail and talk about Uncharted for like a whole section, but I'm trying to delay the next shaving section. But I do think that one of the
It's coming, Maggie.
it is. One of the things that hurt Uncharted was fan expectations, and people had like fan cast Nathan Fillion as the lead, who's named Nathan Drake, for so many years, and Nathan has now like fully aged out of, like, he's now in a Sully range of age, that I think people had a lot of built-in expectations, and then what they got was like, oh, like he's young and like he's a kid basically, because Tom Holland's like a perpetual baby face, and it just did not, like, fan expectations and what was actually possible for that movie like collided in a really unfortunate way. So
yeah. But anyways, back onto Spider-Man, which is what we are actually supposed to be talking about.
Very sorry.
I will say
what
that
on Spider-Man?
I will say we are going to get a Spider-Man 4. I feel like it is a foregone conclusion that it's going to happen. I think that if we get a Spider-Man 4, I would very much like to see it be a return to like street level Spider-Man. That is my one problem. I love the MCU version of Spider-Man. I think that Tom Holland might be my favorite Spider-Man. Everyone has their favorite amongst the three, and I'm sure that I probably just enraged a whole bunch of people by saying that Tom Holland is my favorite. I think he's just the best overall. I think Tobey was the best Spider-Man, Andrew was the best Peter Parker, and Tom Holland is a good encapsulation of both. I think that I would like to see it go back to being street level. I want to see him fight Kingpin or fight Tombstone or, you know, Hammerhead, or somebody who's, it's not a, if he fails, the world isn't going to end. It's just that New York is going to be in a worse spot, you know?
Do you think there is a potential for him to pop up in Venom?
It's obvious that Sony wants that.
Yeah, it's like they obviously want that. And that's where I was like, I wondered if this was like, obviously he was asked the question and that's why he answered it. But if that's like setting the stage for like, yeah, I'm not done with the character.
I will say that I stand by the sort of fan idea that if there is a Spider-Man in Venom's universe, that it's Andrew Garfield.
I would love that.
I think that would be perfect. And that would be a perfect way to make a bunch of fans happy and give us even just a pseudo Amazing Spider-Man 3 by having the Venom Spider-Man be Andrew. Do I think that that's going to happen? No, because Sony will not want to confuse audiences by having two different live action Spider-Man. I think that having two different Spider-Man, but one of them be animated, is fine with the Spider-Verse stuff, like, because people are able to, you know, your average moviegoer are able to separate the two, but having two live action Spider-Man, I think, would be a little bit too active. Live action Spider-Man might be something that Sony would be a little bit worried about having. But, you know, I don't know. As I said, I would like to see it go back to street level, whether that's in the MCU or in the SMU, I think is what people have like kind of dubbed it, Sony's Marvel universe or whatever. But I think it's going to happen. It's just a question of when and where, pretty much. Let's see some of the chat comments here. The T-Money35 says, ideal placement for Tom Holland's rendition of Spider-Man in regards to trend and construction will be placing him as co-leader in S.H.I.E.L.D.'s new Six, a co-leader of the Avengers alongside Carol. I could see that, but I don't think that, I think after No Way Home, I don't think this version of Peter Parker is in a place to be a leader.
No, he would be following too closely in Tony's footsteps of like needing to be a leader, but not a good leader.
I would think that if he was going to lead anything, I think Champions, maybe. If we, instead of getting Young Avengers, we got Champions, I could see him being a part of it. Leader would be the natural place for him to go because he is the most experienced, but again, I think No Way Home put him in a place where he's going to be by himself for the foreseeable future. I don't think he's going to be on a team for a while. If he does pop up on a team, it's going to be like he pops up for one movie, he's not an official member, and then he bounces. Which honestly I think is okay. Steve Calderon says, I want Spider-Man to face Scorpion and Mr. Negative. That would be an interesting pairing, Scorpion and Mr. Negative. I'm trying to think off the top of my head if there were any times in the comics where specifically those two were together. But obviously Scorpion has been set up, so Scorpion makes sense for him to be an upcoming villain. But Mr. Negative would be out of left field, but I don't hate it. After the Spider-Man PS4 game, I'm a big fan of Mr. Negative as a villain. That game kind of showed me his potential as a like threat that is worth Spider-Man's like attention. So I'm all for that. Maggie.
Yeah.
It's time. You can like, if you want, you can close your eyes. I don't know why this like bothers you so much. Like you seem like you're in like physical pain when I do this. And I am a little bit worried. Does this hurt you somehow?
I think it's just like the fear because you're like going at it so harshly. I'm like, he's going to nick himself and then he's going to start bleeding and he's going to bleed out on camera. And I'm going to have to bear witness to it.
It's an electric razor like this. I would have to really try to cut myself.
Well, you're just kind of like hacking at yourself. So like, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Well, here we go.
So anyways, I'm really curious to know if Marvel plans to continue to do the different groups that we've gotten of the Marvel superheroes throughout the years. Like, are we setting up West Coast Avengers? Because like we do have like the Thunderbolts are a thing that's happening. You know, instead of a new team of the Avengers, will it be more like West Coast Avengers? Where are we going with the team ups? Because right now we're kind of all over the place and like, how do the Eternals fit into all of this? Like they're their own little super group. So I'm hoping behind the scenes they're slowly coming to terms with like how they're doing their new groupings, because we also have like the kids, like Wanda and Vision's kids are clearly being set up as something. Like, is that going to be introduced in the Agatha show? Like there's a lot of little things that I'm curious to know what they're trying, because they seem to be just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. And I want to know which meatballs are sticking.
Yeah, I totally agree. I am curious to see how they're going to group things up, because I feel like we aren't going to be getting this. Just looks awful. I'm super patchy, but that's fine. I feel like the Avengers will be reserved for specifically Avengers films, but there is going to be a need for there to be super teams. And we know that there's going to be a Young Avengers. Like that's going to happen. And obviously we're getting Thunderbolts. Are we going to be doing other things? Are we going to be doing, I think a West Coast Avengers would be awesome to see. You know, Ant-Man's already over there in San Francisco. So like just start something with him. You know, there's your base of operations. So it's good to go. Yeah.
His kid could even start something.
I mean, maybe instead of Young Avengers, we'll just get like Young West Coast Avengers. I don't know. Just spitballing here. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell. Jumping into our third and final topic for today. Okay, that is so bad. I'm going to get that, because that was distracting. All right. I will be cleaning this up after the show. I will point out to you that like shaving via webcam is not like the easiest thing. I have made a mess in my office. This is gonna be not fun at all to clean up. I guess this just means that I extra have to
well, you had all
vacuum.
these plans to wear the towel and do all the stuff.
Yeah, I know. I have the towel and then I just didn't wear it. So now my Doctor Strange Evil Dead hoodie is all covered in hair. It's okay. It needs to be washed.
It's the hairy dead now.
I need to do a load of laundry. Anyway, so Godzilla and King Kong. Godzilla X King Kong. The Lost Empire? New Empire. Lost Empire is Atlantis. Got some new posters. It's not like earth-shattering, but it is something. I actually was going to set up being able to show them on stream, but we ran out of time and we were already late. So go over to collider.com if you want to see these images. But we did get 2 posters for Godzilla and King Kong. And really, I'm just going to kind of use this as an excuse to talk about Godzilla and Kong. Is this something that we feel like we need more than one movie of? Maggie, thoughts? Comments, concerns?
I mean, people love monster movies, so I feel like as long as they keep coming out, people are going to keep seeing them, and Godzilla does seem to be quite profitable at the box office. So
are you going to see -1? No? Are you not a monster movie girly?
I am a monster movie girly, but I've never really been partial to Godzilla or King Kong. So it's usually something I catch like when it's on TV being played syndication style, like years after. I just finally watched the Tom Hiddleston, Brie Larson
Kong
movie.
Skull Island.
Yeah, Kong a couple months ago because it was on in a hotel, and I was like, oh, I've seen bits and parts of this, but I never actually saw it. So I think it came out when I was still in college, so it was like not something I caught when it was out.
Was that?
I feel like it was like 2014, 2015 or something. I don't know. It came out in a period of time where I was not seeing movies. So I don't know when it was. I just know it was not when I was actively going to the cinemas all the time.
2017.
Okay. So I was working weekends. That's why.
Gotcha. Yeah, I love these movies. Like I love Godzilla. I've always loved Godzilla. It's never been something where like I'm like a diehard watching all of them day one. I will say that I am going to be going to go see Godzilla -1.
Day one or -1.
That's the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. No, just kidding. I will be going to go see -1 this weekend, but I will sadly only be doing that because I can't go home this weekend because I am currently snowed in here. So I can't. I was going to go back to my parents for this weekend because my youngest niece is turning 1 and we were going to have a party tomorrow, but in my tiny little PT Cruiser will not be able to make it over the mountain pass that I have to go over to go back home. So I have to figure out something to do with my time this weekend, and so I will probably be watching -1. And also, Paul, if that's how you find out that I'm not coming to the party, sorry.
Celebrating 1, you're going to -1.
Yeah, but so I am excited for that, and I will say I was super pumped for Godzilla Kong back in 2021, right?
Sure.
22. Bueller?
Not
Anyone?
That long ago. Not that long ago.
Steve in chat, maybe he'll tell us what year it was. So yes, I was super hyped for it, and I went to it, and I enjoyed it. But again, the question remains: do we need another one, or has the shine worn off after 1? The excitement of having these 2 literal titans fighting each other.
I don't know. People keep going to see it, so as long as the box office continues to be strong, there's clearly a market for them. So
I am very much a fan of the MonsterVerse, and I do appreciate what they are doing with it. The idea of connecting all of these monster movies together, I think, is brilliant. I haven't watched Monarch yet.
I've seen some of it. It is really good.
So Steve in chat has said it was 2021. So thank you, Steve Calderon. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. I love having live fact checkers in our chat. This is great. This is spectacular for me because I am very often getting small details incorrect, and I love having people like that helping us out. So please continue doing that. It is, as far as the new Empire, I didn't know this was coming, to be honest with you. I didn't realize that we were going to have another one, and the fact that it's coming in April, and so it's really not that far off. Okay, I'm on board for it. I will watch it, and these posters look just sick. If you are a fan of either one of these 2 monsters, these might make fantastic phone backgrounds.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Even if you don't care about the movie, like, because they just look awesome. But go ahead and check those out over on Collider.com. We will wrap things up for today. As I've said at the top of the show, be sure to donate to the American Cancer Society. I will drop that chat in the or I will drop the link in the chat one more time so you can go over there and do that. I will be donating myself here later on today. So, you know, because it's the end of the month, that's what I always do. It's not going to be like, I'm not donating like a Lamborghini, but I will be donating like a pretty sizable chunk, because fighting prostate cancer is something that is, it is personal to me. It is very important to me, and it is something that I feel like we need to wipe it out. We need to squash it like Godzilla squashes Citizens of Tokyo. We just need to make sure that it does not exist anymore. So get over there, donate if you can. If you can't, spread the word. Show everyone the videos of Maggie cringing to me shaving on today's show. I am going to go clean this up because this is wow, Maggie. Wow. You know, it would be nice if you like had something kind to say to me for once.
You did a decent job shaving live on air in reverse with your web camera.
It's very hard.
Is that enough for you?
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for the time for you to have a knuff pun.
I've been waiting. I had it in mind. You laid it up perfectly, and I delivered the half-court shot.
All right. Yeah, sure. Anyways, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, I hope you had a fantastic time watching our show. We will be back next week. I don't know what the schedule is looking like, so I don't know who's on Monday, but it will be somebody, and we will be talking about all kinds of movie news, so be sure to check into that. We are actually on the road to our 50th episode. Did you know, Maggie, that our 50th episode is going to be December 11th? Are we going to do anything special for it? Probably not, but
I like that you're hyping this up and you're like, lower your expectations.
Do you know what I would like to see? And maybe I'll have to talk to everybody else. Maybe for the 50th episode, we get all four of us in one episode.
Insane Brady Bunch energy right there.
I'm here for it. I can only imagine the chaos of that show. Nobody will get in a word edgewise. No one. It'll be fantastic. But anyways, I hope that you guys have a wonderful weekend. Hug your loved ones, especially if there's a young baby around, because I won't get to hug a baby this weekend. Stay safe if you're surrounded by snow. Otherwise, just have a fantastic rest of your weekend, and we will see you next week. I gotta actually run the outro here. I'm running the show too. Give me a break.